So yeah, I guess the pattern of preparedness does actually persist. Cheers. Welcome back everybody to me doing the weekly Navel-Gazing, the thing where we talk about all the stuff I did last week, all the books I read last week, what I plan to do this week, and then I usually just lose track of what I'm saying, and it depends, it descends into full-on rambling. So yeah, let's do that and start with reading, because that's a quick one. Yeah, I didn't read a lot. I did, in fact, finish The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which, brilliant book, go read it. It's really, really, really good. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that was what I read. And then I started rereading Immediacy, or The Style of Too Late Capitalism by Anna Kornblue, because yeah, it's just a really good book, and it helps with thinking about stuff, I think, for me, and I'm going to stick with that for a while, I guess. But, I'm taking it slower, thinking more about each paragraph and so forth, which is something I usually do when I'm trying to do, research or anything of the sort. It's like I read, like, an entire book to get, like, an overall idea of what sort of like the arguments are, and then with that structure already in my head, I can go reread the book and focus on the stuff where I feel that I'm, there's a lot in there. I even do that for like a lot of fiction books when I'm trying to make sure that I get a video correct. So yeah, I'm doing that. I was also listening to some lectures on interpreting biblical literature, because I was a lot of times on trains, and yeah, I didn't want to focus too heavily on something, because philosophy is not necessarily the kind of book you want to listen to or read while traveling to or from a festival. So that's all I read last week, because festival stuff, right? So what will I read this week? Well, obviously I'll keep looking at the Immediacy book, because yeah, it's not that thick of a book, but there's a lot. It's a dense one, I guess. Anyway, and beyond that, I'm going to do some sporadic rereading of some of the artificial intelligence stuff, because yeah, I'm really going to work on that video hopefully this week. So that's roughly the plans. Maybe something else comes up. I still haven't figured out the technical issue with my Audible thing, because of, I guess mostly me being away in places that don't exactly have internet connectivity, and so I'm going to have to wait until the next month, because by now I definitely don't have enough money to actually pay Audible, and so my subscription will probably just be cancelled until well, the first of the month, maybe Friday. We'll find out. So yeah, there's not exactly a lot of access to other books right now for me. So I guess we'll see where the reading kind of takes me. If you have suggestions, please put them down in the comments. I do very much read those, and well, I read your recommendations, and then I decide whether I read the book that you recommend or not. So that's fun. So yeah, that's reading, and well, videos. So the thing is, I did in fact obviously publish the video on AI content creation and why I think it's more like gambling than anything else. I am very happy, well, not happy with the sort of like my points in that video. I feel it helped to sort of put them out in this context and not wait for them to maybe sort of shoehorn them into the larger AI video that I'm going to work on. Because I think it looks at something different, and I hope it works out. Views have been different from, say, the video I did about like why booktube doesn't exist. So who knows, maybe I'm just not in, the kind of areas where people really think a lot about AI at the moment, or maybe it's something else, who knows. So there's certainly something going on there, but I've well, a lot of people have watched it, like 50 of you, and I got some comments, so that's cool. And I will get to comments and stuff very soon, because once again, festival. So I did release that, but that was already, recorded like the week before. Remember what I said about preparedness? Well, I did record a video on The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and it's going to be up probably tomorrow, because while I tried to upload it while I was at the festival, well, doing that from a phone can be very difficult, and doing that while having basically no phone reception and very much even less access to mobile data does make it really, really hard to upload that. So that was not possible really to look into that until I came home from said festival, and that was at 11 p.m. last night after 12 hours on a train. So I was not exactly, I didn't feel like fighting through that. So you can expect a video for that book definitely this week. I just have to press publish, I guess. But I'm trying to not do that with like 2 videos per day. I don't think that would work for this channel in any meaningful way. So that's video. And what about other plans? Well, I am trying to work on the larger AI video, probably in the next couple of days. I have started writing down a structure that I think I'm relatively happy with. I'm gonna, I've separated it out in chapters, and now I'm gonna, write down detailed stuff for each of those chapters, and then hopefully it all kind of fits together. We'll find out. But that's definitely one of the projects. Maybe I'll still record a video for Everything for Everyone, which I still believe is a really, really good book, and you should read it. I'll try to do that, maybe, depending on how this week in general will work. If something else comes up, I'm always willing to do that, but here we are. Which brings me to the next sort of call to action here, right? See, obviously because I went to that festival and did not come back until like this late last night, there was no monthly live stream in July, which makes me feel bad. The question is, should I do one this weekend, although I can probably only do it either on Friday or on Sunday? Maybe I'll put like a poll in like the community tab thing, and you can click on that and figure it out. So that's certainly another option. And that's, just thinking about it because, I'm now hopefully back for at least like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or whatever, before leaving again for something. And I'll try to be productive during that time, because that's certainly something that I've noticed like the last month, as may have realized was a bit rough in a lot of ways, getting sort of like some of the financial stuff figured out, or at least avoiding the biggest issues was certainly something that took something out of me. Going to like a festival and all of that also does not necessarily help with being structured and anything of the sorts. And I feel that that is something I'm trying to get back to sort of focusing on during this week and the next week, to sort of get some structure back into my life, go back to the gym, do healthy things or less unhealthy things than I do at festivals, all of that kind of stuff. And maybe see if that all works out in one way or another. I have seen, I've been thinking about like a lot of these things, partly, making that video that I did like 2 weeks ago about how booktube is not a community, but, lots of smaller communities have also led to me leaving a bunch of like online Discord servers, which I was already not really hanging out a lot in, because I don't have the mental bandwidth to hang out in more than like 1 or 2, or like actually participating conversations in more than like 1 or 2 Discord servers, because doing it on my phone is incredibly slow and really hard to do with, just the general, like, using touchscreens with speech, text-to-speech and voiceover and stuff like that is slow and can be even slower. And so I usually only participate in, like, communities on Discord, for example, when I am at home, can, read stuff on the by on my computer, which is much faster and easier to do for me. So I usually don't, I'm not that active in other Discords, so it kind of felt bad for, like, I felt bad for still sort of like hanging out on those Discords technically, and then only just like sharing my videos in the share your stuff kind of thing, even, in cases where I clearly don't necessarily would think of myself as being fully part of that community at that point, because I'm just using it for promotion, and that felt wrong to me, especially after making a video about like how, booktube is not one community. So I've left a bunch of Discord servers. Hopefully that will help me also like refocus and getting these kind of things together. But it may also be part of the reasons why, for example, the latest video did not actually get that many views, because it didn't show up in a lot of other Discord servers. So if you are watching this by accident and you usually click on stuff that I share because I share it in a Discord server. I'm sorry, that's no longer happening in these servers. So we'll see if that takes a hit. I feel like it's not really that much of an impact because, you know, the way we look at stuff, I feel changes over time, which is sort of tying this back to the whole like AI content generation gambling thing that I made this week. In that we are like so overwhelmed with like stuff. I don't know how much, you know, videos you guys have on your to watch list because you're following too many channels or whatever. I assume it's a lot, and I feel like looking at the share your stuff or whatever you want to call it, sort of like channel on a Discord server with a large community, depending on how large the community is, does not really help, because if there's like 20 videos shared per day, I'm gonna, you know, one specific video will still very much be lost in the noise depending on when you look on there and so forth. So I feel those forms of promotion are losing, or ways of getting people to watch videos will get worse and worse and worse, or less effective, I think, in a lot of ways, because we try to find other ways of doing that, possibly getting a shout out, or direct linking or anything of the sort in like someone else's video. Maybe that does help a lot. Who knows? I guess we all need to figure this stuff out if we want to or not, and so we'll see how that goes in the future. But it's certainly been something that I've been thinking about in a lot of ways, like who I am, where I'm going with all of this, and hopefully having the next sort of like 2 weeks to, you know, maybe make a really long video about artificial intelligence might be a good thing in this regard, and, you know, actually think about one project for a while instead of getting sort of like pulled all over the place, which is certainly something that has happened to me in the last couple of weeks for all kinds of reasons. So that's sort of my hope. Obviously, the other part is just like slowing down. It's the end of the month. I did go to a festival, even though I was already very much broke. I had a little cash left, but not like a lot. Friends helped me out because, you know, that's what friends sometimes do, and a lot of these festivals are, you know, people I only meet like once per year at this specific festival, so there's always a level of sort of like feeling bad, having like a bad conscience if I don't show up in one way or another, which I guess also goes into like FOMO territory in one way or another. But it's complicated. I often, you know, have not like the biggest confidence in a lot of ways. Self-confidence is not necessarily my strong suit, so it's very easy for me to sort of like get peer pressured into doing stuff as well, which is fine, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun over the weekend, so it's not bad, but it certainly does not necessarily lead to healthier behaviors in a lot of ways. So my hope for the next couple of weeks will be to sort of slow down, get shit in order, see where things are going in that regard. Hopefully that'll work. So one of the limiting factors, I guess, until the end of the week will be that, I don't necessarily have a lot of cash lying around, so I'll focus on, you know, buying food. And that may lead to me not having beers to record videos to. I know we can argue and wonder about the idea of sticking with the drinking beer during every video, whether that's a healthy thing to do. Certainly a question that should be asked or could be asked. I don't really know what to think about that, you know, because once again, it kind of bleeds into the confidence thing and into the branding thing in a lot of ways, right? I hate talking about branding, but in one way or another, having a specific style of making videos, having one specific sort of like language, right? What I said in that video about communities is part of it, right? So me not drinking beer or whatever is in that bottle, right, would feel like different in one way or another. The same way that some other people on YouTube have other things, like, I don't know, drinking always coffee from like an interesting mug or doing stuff like that, right? Like, we have those kind of things, and I've kind of settled on this one. So yeah, we'll see. So I have one bottle of beer left in the fridge, and until Friday, that might be the one. So maybe I'll focus either on starting the AI video or doing the one for Everything for Everyone. Because on the other hand, if there's just not enough interest in like doing videos about artificial intelligence. If that's the reason why the video from last week about gambling, AI being gambling, did not do particularly well, then, you know, it may be that focusing on something else might be a more, like, a better idea of doing something with the channel. On the other hand, you know, it's also summer and so many other things happening all the time. So, as I said, I'm very much lost. But then again, like after like 12 hours on local trains and buses because of construction work and delays and technical issues and whatnot, does not necessarily lead to me being in a very focused sort of like frame of mind today. So this is probably even more rambly than usual. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment, trying to slow down, figure out what to do. Luckily, I already have that video, so for The Bewitching, so that one will be out tomorrow or Wednesday, depending on how I feel about it. And maybe in the meantime, I'll figure other stuff out. I also still have like another dentist appointment this week, so it's not like I'm running out of stuff that I need to do. It's more that I'm really, really bad at doing the stuff that I have to do and very good at forgetting things in that regard or getting sidetracked with, you know, other stuff that feels way more important. But then again, you know, that's just ADHD and all kinds of other stuff kind of flowing into that. So, yeah, some reading, definitely working on the AI video because I feel I have to say something about it, but also maybe doing more like research and writing and not actually starting the recording until I can, you know, afford it. But then again, who knows? As I said, this is very, very unstructured today, and I just hope that you had a cool week last week and did cool things. If you have, you know, comments on anything, I will get back to a lot of comments, but because I was in a place with like basically no internet, I now have like a ton of like, you know, notifications from YouTube with messages and content, you know, comments that you guys left on some of the other videos. And yeah, I gotta get through all of that. The same way that I gotta get to the, you know, a lot of videos that came out while I was away that feel like important or at least interesting or whatever, in both like a booktube sense, like a bookish sense, but also in general, you know, politics and philosophy and some of the other interests that I have from time to time, right? So I'm catching up with that, catching up with emails, catching up with messages. I'm trying to, you know, figure out how to do these things in a more structured and more productive way to take off some mental load, because on the other hand, it's very, very easy for me, if I see all of these messages, then my brain often kind of goes down into shutdown and I leave it lying around and don't do it and have that constant anxiety knowing that I actually have to deal with this. And if I can find a way to get through those kind of things in a more productive way to reduce that sort of like mental anxiety, hopefully that will have some, you know, beyond just making me feel less bad, maybe impact the way I can make videos and other stuff, and wouldn't that be, you know, really cool? Right? So anyway, once again, thanks for sticking with me, watching these things. I will put up a poll for the live stream if you want one on this during this weekend. I'll put that on the community tab. Please use that, or let me know in the comments here if you feel like it. And yeah, let me know what you did last week. Let me know what you read last week, and let me know what your general plans are at the moment. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, I don't know, like, subscribe, comment, do other stuff, join the Patreon if you feel like it. Any of these things are yours to do if you want, but mostly try to be good people, and I'll see you in the next one. And until then, thanks and cheers.